G'day everyone, AzureBlaze, and welcome back to another first impressions, my thoughts video thingy majiggy thing. This time on Mario Tennis Fever, because that came out as of when this video came out a couple of days ago, as of when I'm recording this a day ago, and I played it the day it came out. Makes sense. But yeah, I'm going to be doing like talking about what I feel of the game thus far, for what I have played, which was, I want to say, about an hour's worth. Therefore, yeah, the first thing I really want to talk about, though, is that there's an opening cutscene. Very nice to see an opening cutscene. It's a bit lackluster, though, to be honest. All it is them playing tennis, which, I mean, it is a tennis game. However, compared to other Mario Tennis opening cutscenes, it is a bit boring, not gonna lie. And it shows off the Fever rackets. I think that's the main thing. And then the second thing I want to ask about is, why Bowser? Why is it Mario and Bowser versus Daisy and Peach? That's a very strange combination, not gonna lie. Other than that though, it looks really nice. Except I feel like Daisy's face looks kind of funny. I don't know what it is. Something didn't feel right about it. However, it seemed almost uncanny a little bit, I think, is my issue with it. Other than that though, yeah, it looks fine. Getting straight into the game though, the first thing that happens is a tutorial, which you can skip, which is a nice option. However, I didn't. I specifically went through it to make sure I knew everything. It controls really well the game, which doesn't surprise me very much, considering Aces controlled really well. The new Fever stuff acts almost exactly like the Zone stuff from Aces as well. If you don't have like a specific thing on your racket, like you get the speed up and all that sort of thing and such. However, like if you have the effects added, it simply adds effects. Yeah. The tutorial itself doesn't actually show everything. Like it fails to explain the fact that each of the buttons do a different type of hit for the ball. Like I believe pressing B does a slice, and then pressing X gives a flat hit. Where there's top spin if you press A, or not X, sorry, Y. However, yeah, it doesn't show things like that, which is kind of interesting considering it's meant to be a tutorial. It doesn't last very long though. My favorite thing is probably the fact that if you stand there for a while, which I did because I was writing notes and stuff, Luigi starts getting, I don't know, upset or something on the other side and starts going, "Hey, hello!" like waiting for you to do something. And then I guess I can talk about the visuals in general. The first thing I want to talk about is kind of one of my only negatives. I guess there's a couple of negatives. However, like actually, let's talk about the goods first. The visuals look fantastic. They look absolutely fantastic. To be honest, I would expect nothing more, considering it's on the Switch 2 and tennis is a very confined game. The visuals do look absolutely fantastic though, with some little issues. The first one, not necessarily like a visual problem, I guess. However, it's a visual thing. You can see the ball like outlines, I guess, or like trails. Trails is probably a better word. They're huge, and there's no way to turn them down at all, which gives me into an option, a thing later that I want to talk about. However, like yeah, they're absolutely massive. I'm not the biggest fan of how big they are. I wish they were a little bit smaller. Or you could at least change them or turn them off even. Turning them off might be a little bit harder, considering the balls are probably too small. However, the way they are now are way too big in my opinion. And then, despite how good it looks, some courses, specifically ones with like grass, I'm thinking of like the Mario Wonder like thing, and then like the forest one. The grass textures are a little flat and a little blurry from what I've seen, personally. It's yeah, I mean, I have like my big TV and everything like that here, and I was playing it on that right in front of me, and like, I don't know, it was kind of a little bit jarring. Like it looked like they were like on top of a flat image as opposed to being like in a grassy court. I think that's probably the best way to put it. Yeah, I don't know, there's not much else I think about it. One thing I do want to say is I think this game does use ray tracing a little bit. Specifically in the Racket Factory, I believe there might be some minor ray tracing at least. The ground is made out of like a grate type material, and the light simply seamlessly works with that material and things like that. Like when the fire is on the ground from the fire racket and things like that, it specifically lights up the specific parts that it's on, and it goes around the little grady bits and everything like that, and it looks fantastic. Yeah, it's simply really strange and jarring to see some of the grass textures be a little bit flatter. I think, because like it shows like the top-down view and they look great from the top-down view. However, like when you see it from behind the character's back, they do look a little bit funny from what I feel, like from what I see at least. Yeah, other than that though, it looks fantastic. Moving on to the main menu. Not gonna lie, it's a bit crowded. There's a lot of options on one screen, and like I like that they're giving you all these things on one screen here, I guess. However, like I don't know, I feel like they could have done some sub-menuing a little bit more. Like the tournament mode and the mix-it-up mode could have, like, because they're similar in how they are. The mix-it-up mode is more like you choose like a selected rule set, where the tournament mode is more like you go through a tower of different rule sets and stuff like that. I think putting like some multiple like main things, like having like the tower mode, not the tournament mode. Having like the tournament and the free play and like all the basic ones in one, and then like all the special ones in another, I think probably would have worked out a little bit better. Yeah, it does look a little bit crowded. However, it has got some nice style. I do like how it's a bit like, it feels slanted too. As for the settings menu, this is what I want to talk about. There is a good amount of settings for the controls. Like you can set basically each and every individual control. However, there's not much else. Not gonna lie, settings wise, there really isn't much else. It's kind of frustrating considering you can't even change the scoring system from single points to like love and that, which is tennis rules, which I'm pretty sure you can do in Aces. It's kind of strange you can do that. You can switch between kilometers per hour and miles per hour depending where you live. There's not much else though. As I said, Nintendo with their options at the moment. I think more options, especially with those massive ball trails, and then yeah, being able to switch to love, because I've dabbled in tennis here and there a lot. I have played a lot of tennis in my time. Therefore, it is odd to see it scoring up by singular points, which I would prefer to play like normal rules personally. However, yeah, the first sort of mode I tried was the trial tower, and as I said, you play as a predetermined set of rules. You play as a predetermined character and their racket and stuff like that. It's all predetermined as well. And you move up the tower as you complete challenges. The challenges themselves are changed up and turned around and everything depending on where you are and all that sort of thing. If you lose a life, you lose a life when you fail or you retry. And I failed at floor 6 completely. I lost all my lives, and that's where I ended. It's kind of interesting. I think the reason I sort of wanted to play the trial tower and later I played the mix-it-up modes is because I feel like that gave me a good amount of what this game has to offer. Obviously, it's not the adventure mode. I didn't play the adventure mode at all. I don't know if I will. I don't know if there might be a video series in the future. I honestly have no clue. I don't even know if I really want to. However, like the trial tower, it was interesting. I feel like it gave me a good amount of things to try with this game. I think is the good way to go. And yeah, it gets a little bit trickier as you go on. I think it's probably the best way to go. And I like that it gives you it switches up who you're playing as and all that sort of thing. One thing I must say, there's lots of unlocking in this game, which is nice. I'm a big unlockables in my video games guy. I don't like everything being available from the start. Having things to unlock is always much more fun in my opinion. And you unlock a lot of things for doing different things. It's great. It's got like an achievement system and everything like that. Good to see. Good to see that sort of stuff. The mix-it-up mode, as I said, it gives you like choices that you can go with. The first thing I sort of did was the Wonder Court mode, where instead of like getting points, you have to collect Wonder Seeds, and there's like even a part where there's like a whole bunch of Wonder Seeds that come out of pipes, and you have to like try hit the ball to hit the Wonder Seeds and all that sort of thing. Really neat, like that. Neat. The Racket Factory, which I was talking about before. There's like a whole bunch of rackets that like spawn on the field, and you can pick them up and use their effects, like the fever rackets and everything. I mean, it simply creates chaos, I think. I'll talk about the fever rackets a little bit more in a bit. However, yeah. The Forest Court I did as well, which I think you can only hit the ball to the squares that are like grassed, and then I don't know, there's like piranha plants that keep popping up and eating the ball and chucking them back at you and all that sort of thing. It's good. I really do enjoy the Mario Tennis games. I played a little bit of Aces. Back when I first got a Switch, like one of the games I wrote down to get before, like earlier on, was Tennis Aces, and I didn't even get Tennis Aces until like 3 months ago. that's yeah. However, I do like the Mario Tennis games nonetheless, because I like tennis in general. However, yeah, it is very good FIFA. I do like it. It is a big step up again from Aces, I feel. And the FIFA rackets, which are the main draw, they make the game very chaotic, much more than like the trailers in that show. From what I've played, at least, they make it very, very chaotic. Like there's a lot going on. The courts are only such a specific size, and things are like happening all over them. Yeah. Otherwise, though, my first impressions, quite good, quite fun. I don't know how much more I will continue. I mean, I'll continue playing it. However, like, I don't know if I'll make any other videos on it or anything like that. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I simply think it's fun, and I do like these types of games. However, I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I shall be back in the next one. Cheers, everyone.